Hey guys, what's going on? My name is Zenaton, and today I'm bringing you guys a video which I have had in the works for a while now. You might have seen videos like this for other card games. I honestly haven't seen anything like this for Legends of Runeterra, which is why I wanted to do one myself. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to go through every single card that is currently out right now in the new card game by Riot, Legends of Runeterra, based on League of Legends. We're going to be using the 5-star rating system. 0 stars, absolute trash. Probably shouldn't play the card. 5 stars being like, wow, this card's great. You should really be playing this card. The way this video is going to be formatted is we're going to stay in a region, go through all the cards in that region in alphabetical order, and then move to a second region. Simple. So to start the video, let's probably go into Demacia. Now, before we get too far into the video, I would like to say these are just my personal opinions. A card that I say is a 5 out of 5, you might believe is a 1 out of 5, or vice versa. And just because I say that doesn't mean I'm correct. This is just my personal opinion, and I would like to create this video as a way to help people out in terms of card evaluation and what they should look for in a card. So to start off, we're going to be in Demacia. First card we have up, back to back. 5 mana, burst spell. Burst is really good. Give 2 allies +3/+3 this round. I like the spell. It's a really good combat trick. Played in a mid-range deck. Win combat. Get super far ahead on the board. Win games. Easy. This gets 4 stars from me. You'll like it. Could be a little clunky because 5 mana is a little expensive in a mid-range deck. And sure, you have spell mana, but if you're playing a mid-range deck, you probably don't have too much spell mana. So again, 4 stars. Great card. Could see it potentially being 5 stars in the right deck. In fact, it probably is honestly 5 stars, but I went with 4 stars. Next card. Also a good card. Battlesmith. 2 mana, 2/2. When you summon an elite, granted +1/+1. Guy's great. You're going to love this guy. Elites are a good deck. This guy is one of the reasons elites are a good deck. Huge payoff. Huge payoff for the elite deck. He gets from me as well 4 stars. Super great. The problem is like 2 health. It's a little small. Like 2 mana, 2/2. It's not terribly small, but it's a little small. Gotta be careful. He might die to a random ping if you like block with him. So you might not want to block with him, of course, and you might want to take damage instead of blocking like say a 1/1 or a 1/2 or something. So he's getting 4 stars. He's going to silently be in the background, buffing your guys out of range of cards like Avalanche and just pings in general. So, great card. Try him out. Very fun. What we got next here? We got the bad card. Or not the bad card, but we got a bad card first. Or the first of many bad cards. We got Borderlands Lookout. Or sorry, Border Lookout. 2 mana, 1/4. That's it. There's nothing much about this guy. There's nothing really to say about him. He's not even an elite, so you can't even give him that. He gets 1 star. Only reason he's not getting 0 stars is because at the very least, if you're really desperate for some kind of anti-aggro card against something like spiders, something with like a lot of things with 1 health, this guy's okay. There's better things in Demacia, I'd say, but he's okay. He's not like hyper trash. Like, if you somehow find out this guy's in your deck, you're probably mad, but you're not going to be that mad. So yeah, 1 star for this guy. If he was an elite, he'd still probably be 1 star, but it'd be better, of course. Anyway, next card. We got BRIGHTSTEEL Formation. Flashy card. Big guy. Comes down. Does a lot of stuff. 9 mana 6, or 9 mana 9/9, sorry. He has barrier himself. When you play him, or you attack with him, give all the other allies barrier. That's really powerful. The issue is 9 mana. That's a lot of mana. You might not be able to play this guy. Like, who wants this card? Mid-range? Comes down a little late. Control? Control's not going to be running that many creatures or having that much of a board that cares about barrier. So, this guy, he's getting 2 stars. He's serviceable as, like, a finisher for a mid-range deck. But again, 9 mana is not that good. Maybe if you, like, put in some Freljord and ramp a little bit, maybe he's okay, but it's just like a mana too much, like 2 mana too much, really, in my honest opinion. So yeah, 2 stars, maybe 3 stars if he was a little bit cheaper or he had a little bit more going on. But for 9 mana, just for giving barrier and having barrier himself, he only gets 2 stars. He'll crash in and do a lot of damage, but the lack of overwhelm or just a way to get through damage for a mid-range deck, there's better stuff out there, in my honest opinion. Who have we got next now? We got BRIGHTSTEEL Protector. Good card. Very nice card. She is a 2 mana 3/2. When you play her, give an ally barrier. I'm probably overrating this card, in my honest opinion. I like her a lot. She seems fairly strong, but maybe she's not strong enough. Like, I don't know what deck really wants her. Maybe like a FIORA deck or something, but even then, FIORA decks already have ways to give barrier. But let's be nice and give her 3 stars. Like, she's pretty good. Like, barrier is strong. Like, put barrier on a challenger unit or a strike unit or something, and you can get some great value. And as for the unit itself, 2 mana 3/2 is fine as a stat line. Like, not terrible, not great. She attacks in pretty hard, hits your opponent pretty hard, trades relatively okay. So yeah, 3 stars. Could see 2 stars, but I gave her 3 stars. Next up, we got Chain Vest. I think this card is fine in like a FIORA deck, and that's pretty much all who want it. Maybe like some kind of Demacia mid deck in like the right meta, but mostly just for FIORA decks to try and help protect FIORA. Even then though, this card is good. Like 1 mana burst, grant an ally tough. People are gonna be like, "Hey, it's not that good. It's like 1 mana just to give an ally tough. That's not amazing." Well, you can look at it like a combat trick because of burst. It's always gonna go off, and you're probably always gonna be able to hold up 1 mana because of spell mana, especially. So I'm gonna give this card 3 stars as well. Pretty nice trick. There are other tricks in Demacia that are just better, but they cost more. And if you just want something that's like very clean and mana efficient as a trick, Chain Vest. It's not a great mana trick, but it's only 1 mana. What can you expect, really, in all honesty? So, with that, what we got next? We got Cythria. Cythria, great card. She's just a 1 mana 2/2. That's it. Well, she's an elite too. That's also really, really important. But that's it. Just a 1 mana 2/2 elite. Might be thinking like, I don't want to play that card. That card sucks. I mean, there's nothing going on here. There's a lot going on here in Cythria. The elite tag, very important. Helps you build up your board full of elites to hold elite buffs. 2/2 is good stats to come down. Hits hard, hits fast, gets the damage in early. You might get like 2 to 4 damage on your opponent's Nexus. She's okay at blocking. So just a very solid early game draw. Not that good in the late game though, so giving her 4 stars. Like, this is a card like you want this card in your opening hand. Like, you want to play this on turn 1. You slam it on turn 1. Maybe you even attack into if you're on the play, and you get that damage in. Only problem is, the only reason she's not getting 5 stars, no like abilities besides elite, which isn't really an ability. And if you draw her in the late game when you're starting to run out of gas, you're like, this card is useless. What do I do with this Cythria? She's not going to do anything. So, you know, she's a small, quiet card who's going to be great and going to do a lot for you. Next up, we got Cythria again. 6 mana 6/6, Cythria the Bold. So she's here, but she's a little bit bigger now. When you attack with Cythria the Bold, or when she attacks, sorry, she gives other battling allies +1/+1 and Fearsome. That's really good. Like, that's really, really good. The buff is great. The Fearsome's great. Great finisher for like Demacia mid. Like, we had the BRIGHTSTEEL Protector, and I was saying how like he can probably be a finisher in Demacia mid, but there's better stuff. Here you go. Here's one of the things that's just the better stuff. Sure, it's cheaper than the Protector, but honestly, I think Cythria's the Bold is even better. Like, your opponent can't use any like 1/1s or 2/1s or something to chump because of the Fearsome for your other stuff. Remember though, like Cythria herself doesn't get Fearsome, so they can chump Cythria, and you have to attack in with her to get the ability. But still, like, if you're attacking in with Cythria, you probably have a board of like 3 or 4 other units, and you're probably attacking in for lethal or at least a lot of damage. So she gets 4 stars. Very, very powerful. You'll like this card if you're a mid-range player. If you're a mid-range player, you're probably already seeing the potential and the power behind Cytherea, and you should be playing Cytherea if you're playing Demacia in mid. Next up, we got a card that I hate as a control player. We got the Dawn Speakers. 3 mana, 1/4. At the end of the round, grant other allies +1/+1 if an ally died this round. It's a permanent buff. It's so strong. 1/4. It's so out of reach of so much removal. You play something like a board cleaner, like Avalanche. This guy survives it. He doesn't care about pings. Are you really going to use a hard removal spell just to kill this guy? You might have to, in all honesty. Like, this guy can go out of control. Now, one way to combat him is just kill everything else and leave him by himself, which is a viable way to kill him. Or deal with him, sorry. Still, though, very annoying to deal with. The 1/4, he's good at blocking against aggro matchups. He's good at getting value for control matchups. He breaks the mid-range mirror. Just an all-around solid card. 4 stars. Because you got to put in a little work for him to work. And without throwing in some work, like, it's not just a slam it and forget about it card. So you got to actually make sure things die, actually find some kind of trades, or maybe even suicide some stuff, or maybe use pings on your own units or something so this effect goes off. It's pretty good. It also can mess with combat because your opponent might not want to kill something in combat because they want to kill like a 1/1 or a 2/2 and give like the rest of your board +1/+1. So again, great card. 4 stars. Play this card. We got Detain, this card. I'm a little high on this card. I think it's very powerful. It used to be 6 mana, and Riot was like, we want to see it played even more, and they made it 5 mana. If you come from a Magic background, you might be thinking, this seems like a little like Oblivion Ring. For those of you who don't know what the card does, it's a fast spell. An ally captures a unit. That means you choose an ally, a unit of yours, if you will, and you choose an enemy unit. While your ally is alive, that unit is pretty much gone from the game. Can't do anything. It's just gone, really. And now, of course, if your unit that captured it dies, it comes back and so on and so forth. But this is still great. Lets you remove a problematic unit, push in damage. Pretty nice. Works against things like Tryndamere, Anivia, Commander Ladros, things that just want to die themselves, last breath in general. So, yeah, this card's great. I'm going to give it 4 stars as well. We're going through a lot of the good cards early on, it seems. Next up, we got On Guard. On Guard is good burst spell, so it's always going to go off. 3 mana is very key when it comes to spells because you can cast it using only spell mana. So even if you have literally 0 mana and only spell mana, you can still cast this card. Card's fine. I would say it is 3 stars. It's not the most powerful thing, but it helps you clean up a board. You play it, you try and you use Challenger to help clean up a board, get some favorable blocks, and just like control the board, really, which is something for a mid-range deck, or even like I could see like a couple of Demacia aggro decks playing this card too. But it's just so good. Next up, who have we got? I believe, there we go. We got the first of the champions. We got FIORA, and we got a good champion here. FIORA is a 3 mana 3/3 with Challenger. Good skill. And to level her up, she just has to kill 2 enemies. That's going to be easy with Challenger. And then she becomes a 3 mana 4/4 with Challenger, who says when she's killed 4 enemies and survived, of course, you win the game. That's really powerful. I shouldn't have to say that. Like, isn't the point of the game to win the game? So you're going to build your deck completely around FIORA. Put in things like random barrier cards, ways to recall her, bring her back to your hand, to protect her. Just basically play Protect the FIORA, in other words. On the left, we also got the champion spell. We're going to have that for every champion we have. We're going to have for the champions, we're going to have the unleveled champion and the leveled up champion spell. And if they have more cards that are associated with them, we'll have them on the left side of the screen as well. Her champion spell, it's also really good. Burst speed, great. And it lets you win combat, lets you kill stuff because of the +3. Barrier keeps her safe, so it just all goes really well. So yeah, Fiora, good card. Try her out. She's really fun. 5 stars. First 5-star? No, I don't think that's the first 5-star I had. But I think... No, I believe this is the first 5-star. But yeah, great card. Great card. You will like this card. Who have we got next? I believe... we had the Fleet Feather Tracker. This card also used to be... I used to rate this card 5 stars. And then they nerfed it. It used to always have Challenger, and now you have to put in a little work to give it Challenger. Not much more work, but it still worked. It's a great card still. It's still a 1-mana 2/1, which is fine stats. We saw Cythria earlier on. Cythria, the smaller one, the 1-mana 2/2 Cythria. 1-mana 2/2. That got 4 stars. That all just because she was a 1-mana 2/2 with a lead, of course. This bird boy doesn't have a lead, of course, and it has less stats, only a 2/1. But Challenger is really powerful, like extremely powerful. Like this is going to be one of the best 1-drops in the game. Or not gonna be, it is the best 1-drops in the game at the moment. And you know why? Because Challenger. It has late game potential, it has early game potential. Comes down early, starts beating face. Comes down late, you can use it to tie up some kind of potential problematic unit and have the rest of your boys go in and smash your opponent's face in. So, 4 stars. Used to give it 5 stars when it always had Challenger. I believe the nerf to this tracker boy, I believe the nerf brought it down to 5 stars. Again, we're not going to be doing half stars, only whole stars, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I could see this being one of the few cards I would put at like 4.5, but I felt it was more towards 4 than a 5. But still, really good card. You're going to love this card. Probably play 3 of them if you're playing like Demacia, because unless you're like some weird Demacian control deck. So, great card. Have fun with the bird. Who have we got next? We got a spell. We got 4 Demacia itself. The spell's okay. It's like if you played Magic, you know the green spell Overwhelm. This card's not that. This is no Overwhelm. Slow speed is bad. 6 mana. It's a lot of mana. It's okay. It's more of an expedition card, standalone. Later on, we'll see Vanguard Sergeant, who creates this card. Most of the time, if you really want this card, you should just play Vanguard Sergeant. Yeah, so 3 stars, though, because it's still an okay finisher in Constructed, but it's not amazing. So maybe play it as a 1-of. Very rarely, I'd say play it as a 2-of if you really want this. Most of the time, I'd say just play Cythria, the 6-mana Cythria, instead of this card. But this is kind of cute with like Challenger and stuff. So, yeah, 3 stars. Not bad, not amazing, just average, middle of the road. So 3 stars. Next we got, we got Garen. Got a good old spin to win boy here. Everyone's favorite spin boy. He's fine. Champ spell's great. 5 mana, 5/5 regeneration. This is the first regeneration card, I believe. Regeneration says at the start of the turn, go back to full health. Not you, the card, of course. So Garen's great at blocking. He's great at fighting. Takes some damage. If he doesn't die, he goes back to 5 health or 6 health if he's leveled up. His leveled up form, really good. Being able to basically attack twice is really good and really nice for a mid-range deck. The spell of his, champion spell, Garen's Judgment, also a good spell. Fine at wiping a board. This can just win games outright. We're going to talk about this soon anyway, as well, the Judgment itself. So we'll talk about that later. As for Garen himself, he's getting 4 stars. I do feel like I'm rating this guy a little too high. I really think maybe he should be brought down to 3 stars, because the more and more I've played Runeterra over the past few days, the more and more I've seen Garen and I've played against Garen, or I've played with Garen, sorry, and the more I'm like, he's just okay, because the 5 slot, especially in Demacia, is a little cluttered. And Garen's, he's not like game breaking. He's just coming down. He's just like a fairly thick boy with regeneration, and that's really it. So I could see myself bringing this down to 3 stars, maybe 2. I don't think I would put him at 2, but 3 stars maybe. But I'm going to keep him at 4 because of the power of his champion spell and his evolved form. Sorry, leveled up form. I'm going to say that a lot, by the way. Evolved, leveled up, whatever. You understand what I say if I say evolved. Next, we have the Judgment itself. Now, this card's also great. Just 8 mana, fast spell. That's really important here. A battling ally strikes all battling enemies. This couldn't just be a board clear. Extremely, extremely expensive, but on the turn, like as early as 5, probably around 6 or 7, when you're probably attacking in with all or if not most of your units, Judgment can just win a game. It also works really well with FIORA because if you use this with FIORA, it can just win a game outright by targeting FIORA and having her battle all enemies. So this card is actually getting the same rating as GAREN. This is a 4-star card. This is like a solid 4-star card. I have no doubt in my mind this is solidly at 4 stars. Not like GAREN, who I could see myself bringing down to 3 stars, perhaps. But yeah, great card. A little expensive, but hey, spell mana. I personally probably am underestimating spell mana, but it's still a good card. Just cleans up boards really nicely and can outright win games in FIORA decks. You should play around this too if you're playing against a FIORA deck, because your opponent might just be trying to be cute and get like a great, just steal a win out of nowhere with a great Judgment on FIORA. Anyway, next up we got LAURENT Bladekeeper. I like this guy. 4 mana, 2/3, but when you play him, he gives an ally +2/+2. So he's like 4 mana, 4/5, or 4 mana, 4/5 of stats that's split over 2 bodies. Obviously, he needs someone else to be on the field. But this guy, he's nothing flashy, but like you give something like Challenger the +2/+2, like give Braum +2/+2, and then Braum's actually going to kill stuff. Give maybe a strike thing challenge, or the +2/+2, maybe something with barrier +2/+2, something with elusive +2/+2. This just gives so many options, and the options are what make this guy strong. So he's getting 3 stars. Not the strongest card because he's just about average for stats. Of 4 mana, 4/5, 4 mana, 4/4, 4 mana, 4/5 in this case is about what you should expect for a 4-drop. So that's why he's only getting 3 stars, but he's not like a 2-star card because there's a lot of flexibility here. He's a little small himself though, so he's not going to get pushed up to 4 stars because he can't by himself fight, and he needs you to have a board, which sometimes you'll draw this guy and you just have nothing, and you needed something that was just big and beefy to rumble with, and you draw basically a 4 mana 2/3. So 3 stars. Still a good card though. Play it. Try it. Very fun. We got a bad card. We got a really bad card. The LAURENT CHEVALIER. This is one of those cards where I'm talking about like barrier on Challenger, or a strike card can do some cute stuff. This guy, 4 mana, 3/1 Challenger. Strike, create a random Challenger follower in hand. It's kind of like a draw engine, but really, really poorly because the card's random and not even from your deck, so you don't know what you're getting. But again, if you give this guy buffs, especially health buffs and maybe some barriers, it can turn into a draw engine. But again, even then, he's pretty bad. Great in Expedition though, I'd say. So he's getting 1 star because there's some potential out there, some really janky potential, but he just costs too much at 4 mana, so you should probably not play this guy. Unless there's a deck in the future that really wants as many Challenger units as possible, maybe then. But for now, don't play this guy. Who have we got next? Oh, we got another LAURENT. We got the LAURENT Duelist this time. He's, I'd say, a little bit better than his friend, the Chevalier. 3 mana, 3/2. When you play him, he gives someone else Challenger for the round. Put Challenger on like one of your 1 or 2 drops and use them to get rid of something problematic. The issue is this guy himself, once he's done that, he's just a 3 mana, 3/2, and that's it. No elite, no anything about him. So he's also going to get 1 star. Sorry, Mr. Duelist. It's not much about you. You're a little bit better than your Chevalier friend, so you're both 1 stars, but you can go brag to him you're a little bit better. Next up, we got another LAURENT. We got the Laurent Protege. Actually, this one's pretty good, unlike his friend the Duelist and the Chevalier. This one actually has a purpose in Constructed. If there's a meta where there's a lot of aggro, this guy does a decent job at stemming aggro. The stat line of him at 2-4 for 3 mana is good at fighting aggro. Preferably 2-5 is better, but of course we can always say, what if this is better, X is better, Y is better, so what? Challenger is great at fighting aggro. You can get rid of problematic things that are buffing up small things like against a spider deck. It can help you kill problematic stuff, like maybe killing a Nivea egg, so on and so forth. So this guy gets 3 stars. Not amazing, nothing too flashy, but he has a job to fill, and he'll fill it well. Plus, the potential with buffs as a Challenger card. Challenger I'm really high on, by the way. It's great mechanic, very powerful. Love the mechanic as a mid-range player. I'm not a mid-range player, but if I were a mid-range player, I would love this mechanic. Oh, we got another champion. We got Lucian. He's really good. The issue with Lucian is you kind of want him as early as possible, preferably on turn 2. 2 mana 3/2, quick attack. He levels up if he's seen 4 allies or Senna die. And then he becomes a 2 mana 4/3 with double attack, who says the first time an ally dies each round, he basically, him and his friends, get to attack again. Ready your attack. Quick attack, because I believe this is our first quick attack card, basically says the unit does damage before the other unit does damage. So it gets a strike first. It's like first strike if you've played Magic. Double attack, you can kind of guess what double attack is. It attacks first like quick attack, and then it attacks again when the actual other enemy unit fights. So it's pretty good. If there's no enemy fighting, it attacks twice 2 to hit the Nexus for 8 for example with Lucian. He attacks once, then he attacks again for 8 damage overall. So I put it in the top left corner, Senna. We'll talk about her later when we actually get to her card. I just wanted to put her up there because she's being mentioned by Lucian. His champion spell too is pretty good. 3 mana fast spell, so you can play it with purely spell mana. Ready your attack. Just play this. Your opponent might be like, have done some blocks and some trades and some stuff, and they might think they're safe because you have no actual mana left, but you have 3 spell mana. You just slam Relentless Pursuit. You go again with Lucian and friends. It might maybe even just Lucian, and you push in even more damage. So Lucian, he's getting 5 stars. Very, very good champ. Next up. We got another champ. Not as good as Lucian though, but pretty cute on the waifu scale. High tier waifu, by the way. 6 mana 3/4 Lux. She's got Barrier. Starts with it. Barrier, by the way, it dissipates at the end of the turn, so it's not permanent like Divine Shield from Hearthstone. She has to do a lot to level up, casting 6+ mana of spells, and then you get a fleeting Final Spark. Fleeting means at the end of the turn, it goes away. Final Spark, though, is really good as a spell. Just 0 mana. Deal 4. Insanely good. When she levels up, she gets Barrier, and she gets to create another fleeting Final Spark when you spend another 6 mana. Pretty nice. Put her in like a Demacia spell deck, and like she's some payoff. Her champion spell, it's okay. Prismatic Barrier, give an ally Barrier this round. It's an okay trick. The biggest thing is, again, it can be used with purely spell mana. You don't need any other non-spell mana to cast it. So I'm going to give Lux 3 stars. Like, she goes in like maybe spells. I mean, not even maybe. She is the build around for a spell deck. But there's like better build arounds in spell deck. Like Piltover and Zon has some good stuff. FIORA is usually something better because FIORA can just win by herself. Because you still have to win with Lux. You have to kill your opponent with Lux. You use a build around in a spells deck and put FIORA instead of Lux and protect FIORA, and then FIORA just wins. Still though, 3 stars. Could be right. Could be better than FIORA in some metas, so 3 stars. We got MAGESEEKER Conservator. I like this guy. I like cards that give value. I like value. 1 mana 1/1. Create in hand a 6+ cost spell from a faction other than Demacia. The only issue is very, very, very RNG based card. Obviously, you can get literally anything besides Demacia cards, so it's not the best thing if you're looking for a 1-drop, but it still gets 2 stars because if you are in Demacia and you just want something that comes down that'll give you some value when it dies as a one-man 1/1, he's around. But again, too unreliable. Sometimes you'll get a card that you literally can't play because it doesn't do anything and it might even be harmful for you. Or just a card that would just help your opponent if you play it. So, again, he's okay. Just, again, too RNG and too unreliable. So, 2 stars. Not bad, though, but not amazing. Just okay. Now, this guy's bad. 4 mana, 1/4. Mageseeker Insider. When you play him, discard a spell to grant him power equal to its cost. That's terrible. He costs way too much. You're 2 for 1-ing yourself automatically because you're discarding a spell. Even in a discard deck, you don't want this guy. And even then, you're only giving him power, not even health. So he can still die to like a 3 or 4 drop. So like this guy would have to be like, unless there's a discard deck that comes out, I would not play this. And even if there is a discard deck, this guy is probably too expensive for a discard deck. So he's getting actually 0 stars. Terrible, terrible card. Even in Expedition, he's not that amazing. So yeah, 0 stars. Don't play this card. Pretty bad. Who have we got next? I believe we have another Mageseeker. Yeah, we got Mageseeker Investigator. This one is actually probably one of the few good Mageseeker cards of the whole Mageseeker list. Mageseeker Investigator. 3 mana, 3/3. Your player says, if you cast a spell this round, remove all text and keywords from an enemy follower. It's great. Ironbeak Owl from Hearthstone, anyone? Just a silence, basically. Of course, they're not calling it silence, just removing all text and keywords. That's a silence, okay? Let's just call it like it is. It's a silence. In the right meta, this is a tech card, basically. This is like a very obvious tech card. Some metas, this card is amazing. Some metas, this card is bad. So this card gets 2 stars. Again, in the right meta, this card can be up to like 4 stars if you want to like remove the text of certain cards. Could be more around 3 stars. I could be convinced it's more of a 3-star card, but I gave it 2 stars because again, this is one of those cards that's like more of a 2.5, but again, I didn't want to do half stars. I wanted to stay at complete full stars. So 2 stars. It's a meta choice. You look at the meta, analyze the meta, make a decision if you want this card. Like if there's a lot of something like Commander Ladros, or things with like things that just die, or they do something when they die. Maybe have this card in your deck if you're Demacia. Oh, we got the Mageseeker Persuader. Also a bad card. Challenger, really good. This guy, not really good. You gotta discard a very expensive spell. Like at least I'd say if you're not discarding a 5 or more cost spell, don't even consider this guy. And even then, still don't consider this guy because he costs 6 mana. So he's only going to get 0 stars. Again, he has the problem, same problem as the Insider. Having to discard a card is too much of a cost for too little payoff from these cards, because just one kill spell, like a Vengeance or something, means you're down a card. You used a spell and this guy to get rid of a Vengeance. That's bad. You got 2 for 1. Sure, you probably got rid of a card that you wanted to get rid of if you're playing the Mageseekers, but still. Unless you're playing a dedicated discard deck, but you probably shouldn't be playing a discard deck in Demacia. Anyway, next up we got Mobilize. Card is interesting. It's like you can... It's like 3 mana cards, especially if they're spells, and 6 mana cards if they're spells. You can do some funky stuff with spell mana. For example, this card, you skip turn 1, you skip turn 2. Turn 3, you have 3 spell mana and 3 regular mana. You play this on turn 3, you can... Obviously, you get to discount all of the cards in your hand that are allies, and then you can play a 4 mana card because you have that 3 regular mana sitting there. Is that good? Not really. It's a little too slow, in my opinion, for not enough payoff, but it can net you some mana. Like, you're spending 3 mana, and you're probably reducing and gaining, like, I'd say 2 to 3 mana depending on how many units you're running, of course. So, card gets 0 cards. It's cute. I really just don't think it's playable. I think it's just too slow. Like that one situation I just stated, I just don't think it's viable for constructed. Again, remember, this is purely a list for constructed playability in Legends of Runeterra. This card, even in Expedition, is pretty bad, though. Next up, we got... oh, no. We got the Plucky Poro. People are gonna hate me when I talk about these Poros. Especially the 1-mana 1/1 Poros. This guy is a easy 0 stars. Don't play 1-mana 1/1s. I'm sorry. Just really don't play them. Like, he doesn't hit hard. Poros kind of suck. They don't really have much payoff. And tough is not enough of a keyword to play a 1-mana 1/1. So 0 stars. Sorry. You're very cute, Mr. Plucky Poro, but we don't need cuteness at the moment. Oh, we got Lux's champion spell, but standalone this time. Prismatic Barrier. 3 mana, burst spell. Give an ally barrier this round. Put it in like a Green Glade Caretaker or FIORA deck. That's pretty much it. It's an okay trick. It's getting 0 stars because it's kind of bad, though. Like, it's a little too expensive, even though it's like the main issue is it's just not worth a card. Like, you're using an entire card in your deck just to give barrier. Sure, you can probably try to save a card, but it's just not enough. So it's only getting 0 stars. Don't put it in your deck. Maybe if you're a FIORA deck, but that's it. Next up, we got Purify. Just don't really want to play this card in a deck. I'd rather play the, what is it called? Mageseeker Investigator instead than this card. It's pretty much the Investigator without the body. 2 mana, burst spell, remove all text and keywords from a follower. Again, just play the unit. 0 stars. Not good enough. Like, you're already in Demacia. Just play the Investigator instead. I don't really know why you would play Purify instead. Next up, who have we got? Oh, we're finally back to the good cards. We got Radiant Guardian. Card is good. 5 mana, 5/5. When you summon her, she gets lifesteal and tough if an ally died. This card's great. This card is one of those cards that, it's not a card that in tournaments commentators are, it's not the wow card. The commentators aren't going to get hyped up when they see this card drop. They're gonna see this card, they're gonna be like, oh, that's a great play. Very nice card there. Helps them establish board. Maybe helps stabilize against aggro. Card like that. But still, it's a huge playmaker in that type of deck. This is getting 4 stars. It does a lot. 5 mana, 5/5 is good stats for a 5-cost card. Lifesteal's great. Tough is great. Does it all. Swings in hard. Swings in heavy. Battles well because of tough. Lifesteal lets you stabilize against aggro decks. Great card. Throw it in your deck. Especially if you're scared of aggro. Really throw it in your deck. Anyway. Radiant Strike. This card, it's like a very quietly dangerous card in my opinion. You might be thinking, wait a minute, what do you mean? It's only a 1 mana +1/+1 spell, and it's not even a permanently +1/+1. Yeah, but like, again, burst spell, it's only 1 mana, so you kind of always have to play around it and be scared of it if your opponent's in the right deck. And sometimes you can, like, sometimes you have to just like play into it, and if your opponent has it, they have it, and then they'll use it on their quick attack unit, and then you'll just get completely destroyed by it. So causes a lot of mind games. I'm giving this 5 stars. I'm probably overrating this, but that's a very scary scenario I just stated. So yeah, 5 stars. Probably has 4 stars, but I'm giving it 5. Oh, we got a trash card here. Redoubled Valor. 6 mana. Slow speed at that. Fully heal an ally, then double its power and health. Yeah, that's a lot of mana. That's too much mana. This gets 0 stars. Don't play this card. Way too much to do anything. Like, it's very cute on an Overwhelm card, like Tryndamere or something, or I don't know, like, who else is played? Darius, I guess? But yeah, that's really it. Like, and even then, it's like it's just too much mana. That's the thing. And slow speed means you can't even use it as like a trick to like fully heal an ally in response to some kind of combat spell or something. So yeah, 0 stars. We got reinforcements. This is a meh card. Just meh. Like, lots of power, don't get me wrong. 8 mana, slow speed spell, that's bad. Summon 2 Dauntless Vanguards, which are 3 mana, 3/3 elites. And then you give all of your elites +1/+1. The issue with this card is the elite deck that this card would go into doesn't want this card. This card is too slow for an elite deck. Maybe if there's in the future an elite deck that's slower than the current elite deck that maybe wants to get to 8 or 9 mana, sure, it might have a slot in there as a one of, but this card is just too slow. So it is only going to get a 1 star from me because like you can use it as like late game in an elite deck, but again, it's just too expensive and it's a lot of mana, so it comes down late. Ionia players can counter it because it's going to be kind of obvious if you're trying to do something like this, because by the time you're casting the spell, Ionia players will be holding up their counter spells. So yeah, too slow. Great in Expedition, like really solid value in Expedition, but again, this is a constructed rating list. Next up though, we have Relentless Pursuit. We got Lucian's champion spell, but without the Lucian. Card is still great. It's 4 stars for me. You put it as like a 1 of in your aggro list, maybe a 2 of in the right meta, and you just surprise your opponent with like just another round of combat and another round of damage, in other words. Great card. Not much to say about it, really. Fast spell is great too, but yeah. Also 3 mana, so you can play with spell mana. Again, not much to say about this card. Next up, we got Remembrance. 6 mana slow speed spell. Costs 1 less for each ally that died this round. Only that round. The thing is, like, it summons a random 5-cost follower from Demacia. You might be thinking, well, that sounds bad because random, right? Well, a lot of the 5-cost units in Demacia are relatively good. We've seen a lot of them already. So it's not the worst. It's actually pretty good. You got things like the Radiant Guardian, which we saw. We haven't seen them yet, but like there's Swiftwing Lancer as well, and other such things. So this card's okay. Like, try it out. At least you'll get some value. Again, the only issue is RNG is a cruel mistress, so it's only getting 3 stars. If you could somehow find a way to get it consistently get a 5/5, maybe, but again, it's just not enough. You need I'd say if you can make this cost 4 mana consistently, sure. You're basically gaining a mana because you're getting a 5-drop for 4 mana. Great. And if you're in a spell-based deck, it's a spell, of course, so there's that as well. Next up, though, we got Riposte. It's a little expensive, but, well, goes in a FIORA deck. It's FIORA's champion spell. It's kind of nice. 2 stars. If it was 3 mana, I would probably give it 3 stars because, again, I've said it earlier, 3 and 4 mana is a huge breakpoint. Not being able to cast this only with spell mana is really big in my opinion. But still, it's a good trick. Like, you play it, combat happens. Since it's a burst spell, it's always going to go off. So that's a huge part of it too. So maybe as like a 1 of or a 2 of in a FIORA deck. But a little too expensive for my taste. Oh, hey, Silverwing Scout. This card is fine. It's okay. Like, there's not much elusive in Demacia, and if for some reason you want an elusive unit in Demacia, you got this card. It's also tough. A little small, but that's because it's elusive. Elusive units are generally going to be small for their cost. So 4 mana, 2/3 elusive, tough. That's really it. There's not much to say about it. 2 stars. Nothing special here. There's better things to play for 4 mana, and it can be cute with like some buffs because it's elusive, and elusive is very hard to deal with, but only 2 stars. Next up. Silverwing Vanguard. I believe this card is now a common, actually, not a rare like it says here. 4 mana, 2/1. When you summon it, summon an exact copy of it. It also has Challenger. So you're getting 4 2 of stats for 4 mana, which sounds bad, but it's split up between 2 units, which is good. And they both have Challenger. So, you know, give it a buff. Sounds good. Play it maybe in hand buff with like Ionia or something. And then it can be very, very good value. So, it's pretty good. It's also an elite, so it can get some elite buffs with like the Battlesmith or something. So I'm going to give it 5 stars. I actually really like this card. Very powerful. Again, that's probably because I like Challenger. Like, it's got it all. It's got Challenger. It's got Elite. You get 2 Challengers pretty much. Great, great card. Single combat. I like this card. Great, great trick. 2 mana. Fast speed. That's a big part of it. And why I like it. An ally and an enemy strike each other. So, back to Magic the Gathering. It's a fight spell. 2 things fight. Really good. You'll play this after you might like block something to block some damage and then use single combat to kill something that's not blocked to kill it. And then you go from there. Very versatile card. Very, very powerful. Gives you a lot of options. It's getting 2 stars only because there's just not enough like value I think you can extract here. I still like it because Demacia is a little light on actual removal, so a fight spell is fine, which is what single combat is. Great with buffs, great with Fiora though, great with barrier. It's pretty good. Maybe I could see myself, honestly, now I'm talking about it and vocalizing it, I could see myself putting it up to 3 stars, in fact. Next up, though, we have Standalone. If you have exactly 1 ally, granted +3/+3. It is a burst spell, so that's really nice. I'd say this card is pretty good. 4 stars. Really, really good. Fiora decks. I know I keep saying Fiora decks, but that's because Fiora goes really well with a lot of these spell buff cards and other such cards that give barrier or buffs. You have only a Fiora on board, boom. Put this on Fiora. Fiora is now huge. And she's going to be able to fight really well with her Challenger. And it's got some versatility too. Again, only 4 stars because sometimes in those decks you might want to have 2 units on board or something. Sometimes you might need to flood the board to try and fight against an aggro deck who's also flooding the board, and this card could just sit in your hand doing nothing. But there's just so much power behind this card, which is why it's getting 4 stars. Next up, though, we got Succession. Meh. There's nothing much special here. It's a 3 mana slow spell that summons a 3 mana 3/3 elite. I mean, you might be thinking, that's kind of weird. Like a 3 mana 3/3? Why don't I just play a 3 mana 3/3? Well, it's a spell, so spell decks, so that's kind of cool. But that's it. Like, you can put it in an elite deck if you really need something to play on 3. I'm giving it 1 star. Like, elite decks and spell decks are really the only thing that want this card. And even then, it's not that good in my opinion. So yeah, it's only getting 3 stars. Oh, hey. This is one of those 5-cost units that you can get randomly from Remembrance. And this one's a good one. 5 mana 5/4 Challenger, so it's probably going to kill something. Last Breath. Basically, Death Rattle from Hearthstone. Create an elite in hand. Most elites are fairly okay, I'd say. So, 5 mana 5/4, good stat line. Not having 5 toughness is obviously a little bad because it'll probably die. But Challenger lets you pick off annoying things, like lets you pick off an Elise and a Nivea egg, some small spiders, of course, and live and maybe even squeeze out a little more value. Lets you kill problematic things like maybe a Garen or something. So this card, great card. Great, great card. You'll love to see it. 3 stars though. The issue is like it's not doing too much. Creating an elite in hand, it's value, but again, randomness is the bane of that, so it's only getting 3 stars. If the card it created was a guaranteed just good card all the time, sure, I would put this up to 4 stars because this card is value. Next up, we got TIANNA CROWNGUARD. Card's been nerfed a bit. 8 mana 7/7 with tough. When you summon her, ready your attack. So basically, you attack in your Demacia mid-range deck, you slam her down, attack again, and now she's probably attacking in too, I would assume. So she's fine. I'd give her 3 stars. I would have given her 4 stars in her older unnerfed form, but she's still fine. Like insanely good in expeditions too as a great Demacia mid finisher, but in constructed, just okay. Next up though, we got the Vanguard Bannerman. This card, I love this card if I'm an elite player. This card right here, huge reason to play elites. Now, I believe this is our first allegiance card. Allegiance is a mechanic that says basically when you play an allegiance card, it checks the top of your deck, and if the top card of your deck shares the same region, in this case Demacia, as the card you played, do whatever the allegiance thing is, which in this case is give your allies +1/+1. I know I said this is a reason to play elites. I kind of forgot that this guy hits all allies, not just elites. Sorry. But yeah, this is probably the best allegiance card. Most allegiance cards are kind of bad in all honesty, but this one's great. And doesn't mean you have to be like mono Demacia. You can like throw in like a little bit of a splash and stay mostly Demacia cards, like throw in some Shadow Isle, some Ionia, maybe some Piltover and Zon, maybe Freljord even. I don't know. Whatever you feel like. But just make sure that, like, I'd say like the majority of your deck is at the very least Demacia for this guy. Play him on like around turn 6-ish when you actually have a board. You can even play him on turn 4, of course, but you want a board when you play this guy, obviously. So he's getting 5 stars. Great card. You're going to love him. Like, that's just stats and value on a card right there. Next up, though, who have we got? Vanguard Cavalry. This guy is not, like, flashy. Just a 5-mana, 5/5 tough. He's also an elite, so there's that. Again, not much to him. He's only getting 2 stars. Like, I don't think he's that good in constructed. He's like almost good enough in my opinion as like a 2 of maybe in some decks, like elite decks. But again, we talked about this earlier with Garen. Demacia has so many good 5-drops. Garen, of course, as well. This guy and various other 5-drops. And he kind of has, this guy just kind of has the problem of, he's not bad, it's just that a lot of the options in the same slot are just better. So he's getting 2 stars. Still a good card though if you're like a budget player and you need something in the 5-mana slot. This guy he'll make do and he'll do a job of killing your opponent or something. We got Vanguard Defender. Pretty good 2-drop. 2-mana 2/2 tough. Elite, nothing special. Nothing flashy. He's going to come down. He's going to do his job filling up the board. Fighting the board. Maybe even blocking some stuff and making combat awkward because of tough. And he's an elite too, so there's that. He's getting 2 stars only though. Like, solid 2-drop for elite decks, but that's kind of it. Like, I don't really think besides elite decks, no one wants this guy. And even then, like, there's probably other 2-drops you could play. Maybe not in elite decks because he's an elite. But yeah, 2 stars. I could see myself putting this up to 3 stars though, but for now I'm gonna keep him at 2. Next up, we got Vanguard First Blade. This one's bad. 4-mana 2/2 attack, grant him +2/+2. That's a permanent buff, but it's just way too slow. Way too slow. Even if you're trying to use the elite synergy he has, if you're trying to use something like barriers and buffs and stuff to protect him, he's just an inferior Fiora, and you should just play Fiora instead. So he's going to get 1 star because there's some cutesy stuff you can do with him, but most of that cutesy stuff is just better with a Fiora deck. All right, next up, we have the Vanguard Redeemer. I like this card. This card says draw a card. I'm always down for a card that says draw a card. Put it in a Shadow Isles deck that has just a lot of self-sacrifice stuff, maybe some ethereal stuff. That means something's going to die. So this is always going to be like a 3-mana 3/3 draw a card. I mean, if that was just a card, 3-mana 3/3 draw a card, everyone would be playing that card. This also is an elite too. Can't forget to mention that because, of course, elite decks and elite payoff is always viable and relevant. So I'm going to give this a 3-star because this is a very hard, high skill card, I think. Like, you're going to have to realize there are times where you're going to just play this card to put out a 3-mana 3/3 on the board. instead of trying to draw a card, because sometimes your opponent might not give you a chance to draw a card and you'll just fall behind in tempo so hard just trying to get that one card of value, and then you just die because your opponent killed you or something. Next up, though, we got the Vanguard Sergeant. We were talking about this guy when we were talking about for Demacia a while ago. Guy is fine. He's like, you put him down, he's a 3-mana 3/3, so good stats for the cost, as we saw from the Vanguard Redeemer. Gives you some more value in that he gives you a 4 Demacia, which, while it's not a great card, it's fine if you're not really paying too much of a premium. He's also an elite, like I said, so that's good as well. So, you know, that's not bad. I'm giving him 5 stars, actually. Solid, like, 3-drop in the elite deck. In the late game, he has value because you play him, you get 4 Demacia, you play 4 Demacia, and you slam in with all your elites. Great card. Next up, we have Vanguard Squire. I think this is Cythria, in all honesty. I think this is Cythria back when she was back after the 1-mana card Cythria and before she became the 6-mana card Cythria. But for some reason, she's not called Cythria. But I think this is Cythria. Anyway, though, enough about that. 4-mana 3/3. When you summon an elite, reduce its this card's cost by 1. Pretty good. This is more payoff for elites like this and other such cards as like Battlesmith. You play this card, and if you've played other card games, you know the dangers of cards that can be discounted, and eventually this card might cost like 0 mana, and you can just slam like 2 or 3 of these for 0 mana, and then you just attack in with 3 3/3s. That all costs 0 mana. Card is a 4 from me. It's already like okay stats. 4-mana 3/3 is bad, but if you just discount it once, it's already a 3-mana 3/3, which is fine. And then a 2-mana 3/3 is already great. And it's an elite, so that's also good. So as long as you discount this card twice, card's great. And it helps fill out your curve too because of the discounts and stuff. So 4 stars. Great card. Next up, War Chefs. Love the artwork on this card, at least. 2-mana 2/3. Support. Give my supported ally +1/+1 this round. Support says if there is a unit to the right of this card when it is attacking, give it that's whatever the support is. So if there's a unit to the right of War Chefs when War Chefs is attacking, give that unit +1/+1. It's a fine card for Demacia mid, I think. Like, even for like non-elite Demacia mid, I'm giving it 3 stars. It's got a good stat line. 2-mana 2/3 is great. It's better than 3/2 because it survives Avalanche. So yeah, great card. Very, very nice. Good with Challenger as well. This card's fine. So I believe that's it for Demacia. Yeah, that's it for Demacia. So with that said, let's go on to Freljord now and see what we have there.